As soon as you know that you are going to submit a claim, one of the first things you want to do is you want to go online and submit an intent to file. It is so important to do this even before you meet with a VSO or somebody who's going to help you with your claim. This is the first thing that you want to do once you have decided you are going to submit a claim. What this does is it locks in the date, the effective date for your claim, so that if you get any claims approved, it will be based off of this date. Once you submit the intent to file, you have 365 days. You have 1 year to submit your claim. So let me show you how you can do this online as soon as you have decided to submit a claim. And even if you have not decided, I would, even if it's in the back of your mind that potentially you might be here soon, submit an intent to file. So let's show you, or I'm going to show you how you can do this online. So I am now so what I'm going to do is, what I did is I went to Google and I typed in VA intent to file. And this here is going to be the first thing that pops up. So I put in Google VA intent to file. Next, you'll click on this link. You will be taken to the VA website. I'm at the VA Department of Veteran Affairs website here to submit an intent to file. Here it explains what to know before you fill out this form. It states, after you submit your intent to file, this is the most important thing, and this is why I share this with veterans. Before you even say anything or go and see a VSO, get this letter, this intent to file done. What it's saying is that after you submit your intent to file, you have 1 year to complete and file your claim. And so if you are on the fence debating if you are going to be submitting a claim, go ahead and do this. It costs you nothing. It solidifies the date to where your claim will be established. Granted that it is approved, you have 1 year. So if you're on the fence, you're not sure, you're debating, get this intent to file submitted, right? Now, it does state, and in some cases, it may take them a few days. And really, it's quite interesting that they even use this verbiage, right? It's like, it may take us a few days. So your actual letter that you file it out or you fill it out, maybe a couple days later. So it's basically saying, hey, listen, you're going to submit it right now, but give us a couple days to process it, which is interesting because I'm going to share with you how the date and time are stamped every step of the way. So I don't know. It's kind of interesting that they're giving themselves a couple days here, but take us a few days to process your intent to file after you submit it. We'll let you know what your potential effective date is after we process your intent to file. All right. So what you'll do now, of course, if you're filing on behalf of someone, if you're not the veteran, read this information. Right here, it then states claims you can file after filling out this form. This form right here, VA Form 21, this form right here is the form that will be filled out when you submit your claim. This claim can also be done online when you're going to file your claim online, which I strongly encourage you to do, which most likely your VSO will be going through this process. No matter what, you will be submitting your claims unless you're working with a VSO. Now, right here, it also states that if you start your disability claim online now, this is actually a very important point. Now, here's an interesting point. I really want to point this out. Look what the VA states here. If you start your disability claim online now, you don't need to fill out this intent to file form. When you start your disability application or supplemental claim online, it notifies us automatically of your intent to file. So what this is saying is, yes, if you have a complete claim and you go online and you submit it, there's no reason to submit an intent to file, because the date you submit your claim is the date the VA will go by if your claim is approved. Now, so once you submit a claim, the VA is notified that you have submitted a claim. Now, this is not what you want to do. If you're even thinking about it, and this is why this is an indication, if you're working with a good VSO, is they will make sure before you do anything is to submit a letter of an intent to file online or paper immediately. Why? Because as I mentioned before, you have a whole year. You have a whole year to fill out or to submit your claim. So the first thing is intent to file. The second is, hey VSO, hey other person who's helping me. Now is let's start asking questions. Let's get the medical records. Let's get your service records. Let's get your C file. Let's get civilian doctor documentations. Let's get buddy statements. Let's get lay statements. That's going to take some time. But you have a whole year. You have a whole entire year. Now, so I find this really interesting. You don't want to do this. You don't want to wait to file your claim. You want to, if somebody's ready to file a claim online and have not submitted an intent to file, that whole time that they have been preparing their claim has been a waste of potential back pay, or a waste of the opportunity to receive back pay on approved claims. So let's say, for example, and I really want you to be sharing this with every veteran, even if you think they know this information, share this video with them, please. If somebody is ready to file a claim and they never filed it, it means that, one, they weren't working with somebody who knows what they're doing. And two, if it took you a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, whatever, that's potentially 4 months of back pay. And depending on where you go from 0 to 100, that's 4 months of let's say 30% of back pay that you that you should have received in this example of getting approved at 30% for a claim, right? So I hope that this never happens to any veteran where they lose the opportunity to get back pay. So please share this video. If you or another veteran is even thinking about submitting a claim, go online now and follow this video and submit an intent to file. All right? All right, let's continue. So now the next thing is, in order to do this, you have to have a login.gov or an ID.me account. Now, if you've watched any of my other videos, I know that there are veterans out there who do not want to have to deal with anything about logins, submitting any kind of documentation. I get it. But this is unless you're working with the VSO who can submit this information for you, where you're filling out a paper and they're doing it for you, then you don't need to do any of this. However, once you are approved for VA benefits, VA compensation, you want to have access to va.gov. You want to have all the, you'll be able to download your medical records. You'll be able to order your meds. You'll be able to get documentation that show what percentage you are. It'll get documentation on your proof of service. There are so many things that you will have access to that I'm going to strongly encourage you to do what is needed in order to get a login.gov or an id.me account. I have a login.gov, so I'm going to go ahead and use this button here, or click on this button here, start your intent to file. So I'm going to click on that, and it's going to bring up whether you choose, whether you have an id.me or a login.gov. You got it. You have to have, now you have to have one of those. Now before, look at this, before you can use your DS back in the day, e-benefits. If you've been around for some time, you know how much of a pain in the rear end that was, right? So the DS login sign-in option will remove this option after September 30th. It's close to that date as of recording this video. So this will not, you can use this up until this date, which, so if you have a DS login, you can use it till here shortly, but by the time you watch this video, you're really going to want to select one of these options here. All right. So I'm going to pause the video. Or so for me, login.gov, it's going to bring up, you're going to still be on the, it's going to be taking you to the login.gov/VA website. So I'm going to pause this video. I'm going to put in, so here's what's going to happen. When you get a login.gov, you are then going to need to download an app, and it's an app that is an authorization app, authentication, or actually it's an authenticator, and you could select Google, and you'll be using your email address, your password, and you'll need that authenticator on your phone. Look, I know it's these steps, but quite honest, to be honest, I think it's great because you get a lot of access to information that you just don't want anybody to be getting access to. So there are some steps, and I know it can be frustrating, but once you have it, you're good to go, and you're gonna be grateful. I think you're gonna be very grateful that you have it. You're gonna be grateful that you have it, because it is access to a lot of information that you're going to want. Okay. So now I'm going to pause it and put in my info. Okay. So I put in my email, I put in my password. I then was taken to the next step that required me to get the authenticator, open up my phone, go to that authenticator, look for login.gov, put in the numbers, and then it brings me to this page right here. So this is, once again, to submit an intent to file. All right. Now, same information basically that was on the previous page, right? What to know. This will give you a year. If you are signing for someone else on behalf of a veteran, there's a lot of caretakers that take care of veterans. If you're doing this, you've got to go through these steps. And now, right, once you file your claim, you're going to be utilizing this form. But once again, that can also be done online, and that's a time for another video. So remember what I mentioned about the VA? It was interesting because it's actually on this page too, where it says, yeah. So look, the VA says, in some cases, it may take us a few days to process your intent to file, which I think is pretty interesting, right? But down here, every step of the way, down here, it's going to track, and I'll show you once, and it's very, very quick to submit the intent to file. But I'm going to show you how it tracks, obviously, the date. This is saying when it expires right there, but it's also going to keep track of each step of the way and saving it as you go through the steps. In case of an event, your computer shuts down or something happens, it remembers those steps. So here is the button. Here is the button, start your intent to file. So I clicked on that link and it brought me to this page. Okay. So you're submitting your intent to file. Now it's asking you, which of these best describes you? I'm a veteran and I intend to file a VA claim for myself. I'm the spouse or a child of a veteran and I intend to file a VA claim for myself. I'm representing a veteran who intends to file a VA claim. And I'm representing a veteran spouse or child who intends to file a VA claim. More than likely, you're the veteran. All right. So as soon as I'm not sure if you noticed, but as soon as I selected this or an option, look at this, it immediately gave me an ID number. Immediately gave me a progress ID number. And that only happened after I did the button. So a couple options. You can finish the application later. Now, look at this. Remember I mentioned about it tracking your movements, basically? Look at this. We've saved your application. We saved it on September. So this is, when I'm doing this, at 4:25, and your application ID is this. So I'm going to go to the next step, and it's already past a minute. So every single step, it's going to, of course, it's today's date and the time. So when the VA says, hey, just to give you a heads up, it may take us a couple of days to process it. I kind of I chuckle at that. So next step. Next is right here, step 2. Select the benefits you intend to file a claim for. Now, is this for compensation or pension? You're going to select this option right here. Select this option if you intend to file for disability compensation. That's what this video is about. It's making sure that you're submitting an intent to file so that you get disability compensation. Now, this is just an intent to file. This is not filing a claim. Now I'm going for compensation. Next step. So once again, look at this, 4:27, right? So it's tracking every step. Why? Because if in the event you want to finish this application later, you can do so. And you're not going to have to start every step again. And this video is a little long, but I'm taking you step by step because this is so important. I'm telling you, you never know how long, you never know how long your claim is going to take. The name of my channel is Situation Dictates. Your situation is different than every other veteran out there. It may, and who knows how long your claim is going to take. It could hopefully not take as long, but if some way it takes 6 months, a year, or even more, even when, let's say you get a claim and it takes about, let's say 5 months to reach a decision, and you receive a decision where your claim was denied, and you notice that in your denial that they did not take in consideration the doctor's nexus letter, they didn't take in consideration lay statements, they didn't take in consideration a buddy statement, something where they really messed up, you would then submit for a higher level review. To get the time it takes to submit or to get an interview for a higher level review could take 2 to 3 months. So now, if it took 5 months to get a decision, you received the denial, you noticed that they did not take in consideration things that they should have. So you submit for a higher level review because there's no new evidence. It's evidence that you presented to them and they didn't take in consideration for the decision that they made. So now you're going to wait 2 to 3 months. Let's say it's 2 months. Now you're 7 months into submitting your claim. Now imagine you submitted a letter of or an intent to file a year before. I'll share a personal story. I submitted an intent to file in November of 2020, or sometime in November. I did not submit my claim until the day before I submitted my intent to file. Meaning, remember it says 1 year, 365 days. I submitted my claim 364 days later. Now, I submitted my claims. There were some that were denied and there were some that were approved. I then put in for a higher level review for those that were denied. I ended up getting approved for those higher level reviews. Now, the date for the back pay goes all the way to a year and a half because of the time of my letter of intent, the year that I had waited, only because of the intent to file, and then it took about 6 months for the rest of it to go through. And then there is that because of the intent to file, they go back to that date. So there is a year and a half worth of back pay. So this is why an intent to file is so important. Okay, so I'm going to continue. I'm going to click continue. However, I'm going to pause this next step because it actually shows my name and part of my social security number. Okay, so you'll notice that, you'll notice that here I'm now in step 4. Step 3 is going to show your name. All right, so your name, it's going to show your social security number, but it's only going to be the last 4. And then it's going to be your date of birth. Okay, so your name, your last 4 of your social, and then your date of birth. That's in step 3. Okay, so now I'm on step 4. Okay, so now I'm on step 4. You'll need to have then your email address. Okay, so once again, you'll notice that, look, the time, tracking it each time. Why is this important? Because when you submit your letter of intent, it stamps that date. That's why I laugh at that whole idea of us processing it and it may be a few days. They are tracking the time because that's when you're done. Boom, that's the stamp, right? So step 4 is your email address. Step 3 was your verifying your name, your social, and your date of birth, right? So I'm going to put my email address in here just so I can get to the next step because as you can see, it says required. So let me pause and put in my email address. All right, we have made it to step 5. It's very fast. This is the reason why I really strongly emphasize submitting an intent to file. It's very fast. It locks in the date, and it literally could be months and perhaps even years of back pay. And so I really ask that you will share this with every veteran who, if they're even thinking about submitting a claim, submit an intent to file. Okay. So step 5, the final step, is reviewing the information that you have put in here. So if I expanded these, it would show my name. So what you want to do is you want to expand all of these, make sure everything's correct, and then you're going to put in your full name. Then you're going to click this button, and then you're going to click submit application. And here you will see that it says, we've saved your application. We saved it on this date. And what you want to do is you want to be very aware of this date. Because then from this date, you have 365 days. And I would put it in my calendar, 360 days just to give yourself just a little breathing, right? Because if you submit your claim 360 days, you should be good. I did it literally 364 days. I did. And be mindful of that date. And now off to the races. Talk to the VSO, talk to whoever is helping you. And this is how you know if you're working with somebody who knows the importance of submitting an intent to file, because they are looking after your own good to make sure that you get the most back pay as possible, and not just from the time you are awarded your claim on forward. Because it's going to take, if you're thinking about submitting a claim and you start going through the process, it's more than likely, unless you just have all your medical records, all your buddy statements, which I've mentioned before, that shouldn't even be started. You should do the intent to file first. So there's no way that you should have a fully developed claim or a claim ready to go. So you talk to a VSO, you talk to somebody who's helping you. They're going to ask you, have you filed an intent to file? No, here's the form. Or are you on login.gov, id.me? Make it happen. You got to do it. So once you put in your name, checked off the box, you submit your application, it's going to put that date and time, and you're locked in. So once again, review this video. If you want to go through it again, to go through the steps, it's a very easy process. Once you have a login.gov or an id.me, and if you don't, I strongly encourage you to go through the steps in order to have one, because once you have your medical benefits, you're going to want to have access to va.gov, because you can also, there's some tracking that you can see. It's not the greatest, but you can see the results of the decisions. And then you'll be mailed a decision letter, but you can also download the decision letters as well. Once again, I strongly encourage you, because I know, and I've just helped a friend out who technology and something, this, and then you go to one step, and he was literally texting me, sending me pictures, sending me videos, what to do this step, what's this step, what I got to do with this. And it's just like, oh man, this always blah, blah, blah happens to me. And I was taking him through the steps, and he eventually got through it. And once he had access to va.gov, he was so appreciative, because he then now can get access to his benefit letters, his medical records, order medication. It's all there. So once again, go through this, get that intent to file, And I'll share a quick story with you. The reason why and I learned this, I worked as a VSO assistant, not a VSO, but I was basically doing everything the VSO was doing. And I learned so much. And every time a veteran would come in, we gave them a stack of papers. And that stack of paper, one of those letters on a stack of papers was the intent to file, because that started the 365 days. And I remember so many veterans getting a lot of back pay, because at one point, and I was in that time frame where it took years to get a decision, years to get a decision. And then if there was it was not a favorable result, and you submitted for a higher level review or a supplemental claim or veteran appeals, that took years. So, but when somebody filed for an intent to file, all that time was accumulating. And so when the VSOs that I worked for, they were on it. They were on it. And these VSOs at one time, they can service any veteran in the country. And we would get people from literally almost every state wanting to work with these VSOs. And because they knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing. And so it's now at the point where it got to the point where they could only service people in their state, in that state. Now it's only people in that county. And so things have changed. The time frame of getting decisions, the bills that have just passed are hoping to even decrease the amount of time. So get these letter of intents in, and please share this with any and all veterans, that because you never know what they're thinking, or they may already have a certain percentage, but they're thinking about submitting for more claims. Get that intent to file, and let's see, share this far and wide. And if you're part of any veteran groups, post this on the group, because you just never know what people know and don't know. And so if it's old information, not a problem. But for some, it can be money in their pocket, because they're going to now start their claim and hopefully get a favorable claim and get that back pay as a result of submitting an intent to file. All right. All claims, all approved claims are evidence-based claims. Don't forget that. If you are not sure what an evidence-based claim is, check out this video here, and learn what an evidence-based claim is. Those are the ones that get approved. So check it out, and I'll see you in the next video.